had a horrifying experience at a friend's birthday party.
Give it back. Please return it to me.
This story has remained a haunting memory for me to this day. That day, I was invited by Lily to attend her birthday party at her house. I prepared a small gift for her and happily went to the party. However, as soon as I entered, I felt that there was something strangely gloomy about the atmosphere. The air was somber, lacking the lively music of a typical birthday celebration. Lily chatted with me for a while before heading inside. She needed to put away the gift. At that moment, a limping man approached me and struck up a conversation.
Hello, you're Lily's friend, right?
Yes, and you are?
I'm Lucas, Lily's older brother.
Really? I've never heard Lily mention you before. Just then, someone bumped into me forcefully, causing me to stumble and fall toward Lucas. As I touched him, I was startled. His body was ice cold, completely devoid of warmth.
Are you okay?
No, I'm fine. I reached for the glass to hide my embarrassment, but clumsily dropped it. The water splashed onto Lucas's feet nearby. I'm so sorry. Before I could finish my sentence, I froze in shock. Lucas was gone. But what terrified me even more was the dried bloodstain left where he had just stood. At that moment, whispers filled the air, sending chills down my spine.
What's wrong with her?
I don't know. She's been talking to herself this whole time.
I stared at them in shock, unable to process what had just happened.
Ariel, are you okay?
I was just talking to your brother, but I don't know where he went.
You said you met Lucas?
Yes. He's tall, with a mole at the corner of his eye. Is he your brother?
That's impossible! My brother, Lucas, passed away 2 months ago?
I stood frozen. Then, who had I just met? I didn't dare think further. I quickly said goodbye to Lily and rushed home. From that night on, I had nightmares every time I closed my eyes.
Please return
I
it to me.
dreamed of Lucas strangling me, but I didn't know why. That made me skip school and rely on sedatives for a week. Lily, noticing my absence from class, came to check on me.
Are you okay? You've been missing from school?
I've just been feeling a bit unwell.
Oh? Why is this pen here? I've been looking for it everywhere.
I borrowed it from you a while ago, but forgot to tell you. I also never got the chance to return it.
This was my brother's favorite pen. Ever since he passed away, I've been keeping it as a memento.
A chill ran down my spine upon hearing that. Could this be the reason for everything that had happened to me? From the moment I returned the pen, my nightmares stopped. But the memories of that night remained etched in my mind forever.
Have you ever left a bad review for an order? I never thought that a bad online review could drag me into hell. Hello, my name is Emily, 25 years old, a horror fiction writer for a renowned publishing company. I had written countless terrifying stories, but I never imagined that one day I would become the character in a real-life horror tale. It all started last month when I ordered dinner from a small, newly opened restaurant near my apartment building. Starving, I eagerly opened the food container, but the moment I did, a foul, nauseating smell hit me, making me rush to the bathroom to vomit. Even more horrifying, inside the container was something that looked like a decomposing human finger. Terrified, I immediately threw the food into the trash and left a 1-star review for the restaurant. I had no idea that this was just the beginning of a nightmare. Shortly after, I received a message from the restaurant owner. I can refund your money, Kyle, but it will cost you your life in exchange. I shivered at the words on my screen. Was this some sick joke or a real threat? My building had no security. So if the restaurant owner really wanted revenge, he could come straight to my apartment. After thinking carefully, I decided to stay overnight in the room of Helen, my colleague who lived upstairs, to avoid trouble. I had a camera installed outside my door so I could monitor my apartment through my phone. Looking at the screen, I saw a tall man wearing black sportswear and a baseball cap standing in front of my door. I wanted to tell Helen, but she was too focused on texting someone, seemingly unaware of my distress. Suddenly, the man looked directly at the camera, mumbling something under his breath. A large, deep scar ran down his cheek, making him look terrifying. He licked his lips, smirked with satisfaction, and then made a throat-slitting gesture before turning away. I trembled as I stared at my phone screen. What was he planning? I turned to Helen and realized she had been staring at me the whole time. Her gaze gave me an eerie feeling, as if something sinister was about to happen. I forced a smile and asked, "Helen, is something wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?" Helen smiled slightly and said,
Oh, it's nothing.
I nervously reached for my glass of water but accidentally spilled it on a notebook on the table. Hurriedly, I picked up the notebook to dry it, but a photo slipped out and fell to the floor. When I bent down to pick it up, my heart nearly stopped. In the picture was Helen smiling brightly next to the very same man who had stood outside my door. A horrifying realization struck me. Helen was the one who had recommended this restaurant to me. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Helen glanced at me before standing up to answer it. Sensing that something was wrong, I quickly opened Facebook and secretly started a live stream before hiding my phone. Helen soon returned, followed by the man from earlier. I placed my phone on the table and looked at them in fear. Helen, who is this? Helen smiled slightly and said,
This is my boyfriend, the owner of the restaurant you rated 1 star.
I stammered. What do you mean? Did you plan all of this? Helen burst into laughter and said,
That's right. I hate your fake perfection. You took everything that should have been mine.
Then she suddenly slapped me hard across the face. A burning pain spread across my cheek, making my head spin. Helen pointed at me in anger and shouted,
I was supposed to be the best writer. How dare a newcomer like you surpass me?
Before I could react, Helen grabbed my collar and repeatedly struck me in the face. Each blow landed heavily, making my head spin as my vision gradually blurred from the throbbing pain. I struggled to stand and asked, If you hate me so much, why did you let me stay here? Helen laughed hysterically and said,
Because I wanted to see you suffer, to watch you beg for mercy right in front of me.
Enraged, I shouted, Keep dreaming! You're just a failure! Don't blame others for your incompetence! The restaurant owner suddenly lunged forward and punched me hard in the stomach, sending me crashing onto the floor. Before I could recover, he pulled out a knife and slashed a deep cut across my shoulder. I screamed in pain, clutching my wound as warm blood soaked through my thin shirt. Helen stood over me laughing.
Emily, beg me, and I'll let you die painlessly.
Through gritted teeth, I spat back. I will never beg a loser like you. Furious, Helen snatched the knife from her boyfriend's hand and lunged at me. Just as I thought it was the end for me, a loud, urgent knocking sounded at the door. Helen froze, turning her face toward the door, silently observing the commotion outside. Sensing my chance, I immediately sprang up, kicked Helen away, and sprinted toward the door. Standing outside was Lucy, my close colleague from work, her face filled with panic. Lucy quickly caught me and asked worriedly,
Emily, are you okay?
I gasped, Help me! Helen wants to kill me! Before I could explain further, Helen shouted angrily,
Don't think you can escape from here.
She gripped the knife tightly and charged at us, her bloodshot eyes filled with madness. Lucy and I froze in fear as Helen's twisted expression made her look like a completely different person. Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed behind us. Police officers had arrived. It turned out that when Lucy saw my live stream, she immediately called the police and rushed to my place. Helen and the restaurant owner were swiftly restrained and taken away before they could fight back. I let out a sigh of relief, but as the adrenaline faded, pain overwhelmed my body. Exhausted, I lost consciousness and sank into darkness. When I woke up, I found myself in the hospital, my wounds carefully bandaged. This nightmare was finally over, but the scars it left behind would haunt me forever.
After a long, tiring day at work, Emma had a habit of soaking in the bathtub, letting her body relax and washing away all the stress. Lately, she had noticed something strange. Her shampoo, body wash, and even toothpaste were running out faster than usual. At first, she thought maybe she had been using them too carelessly, so she tried to be more frugal. However, an uneasy feeling kept growing inside her, even though she couldn't quite explain why. That evening, after taking a bath, Emma wrapped herself in a soft blanket, turned on the TV, and relaxed.
Authorities have issued a high-priority warning regarding the escape of a dangerous criminal with a history of multiple homicides. The fugitive has been at large for several days, and the latest sighting places him in Orange County. Residents.
Oh my God, how dare I go outside?
A chill ran down her spine. She stood up immediately, checked the front door and windows, and locked everything tightly. After making sure there were no gaps, she returned to her bedroom. But just then, a faint sound came from under the bed. She froze. Her throat went dry. Her heart pounded in her chest. Holding her breath, she peered into the dim darkness beneath the bed. A small mouse was quietly nibbling on crumbs. Emma let out a relieved sigh and chuckled at herself for panicking over nothing. But just as she was about to stand up, another sound came from behind her.
Silly girl.
A soft, eerie giggle. Emma's body went rigid. It felt as if invisible hands were tightening around her throat. She didn't want to turn around, but fear compelled her to face the truth.
Who's there?
Slowly, she approached the wardrobe. Her fingers trembled as they reached for the handle. Taking a deep breath, she gathered all her courage and gently pushed the door open.
You sought me.
After 5 years as a delivery worker, I never thought a single order could cost me my life. That night, close to midnight, I received an order for 2 servings of chicken rice. The delivery address was a house on the outskirts of the city. Even though I had a bad feeling about it, I had not received a single order all day, so I gritted my teeth and accepted it. When I arrived, I saw an old, desolate house standing alone in the middle of the woods. A cold gust of wind blew against me, sending shivers down my spine. I knocked on the door, but no one answered, so I took out my phone and called the customer.
The door is unlocked. Bring it inside.
I hesitated, but pushed the door open. The musty smell immediately filled my nose, making me grimace. The air inside was cold, as if no one had lived there for a long time.
I have your delivery. Is anyone here?
At that moment, the sound of a knife chopping down on wood, thick, heavy, and sharp, resounded from a room inside. I jumped, my heart pounding. Carefully, I tiptoed toward the door, and the scene before me made my stomach churn. A man was chopping a human arm. On the table, severed body parts were laid out in pieces. I screamed in terror. The thick, metallic scent of blood choked my throat, and I collapsed onto the floor.
You harmed someone. I have to call the police. Stay and help me, or I'll put you on this table next.
My entire body froze at his words. Fear forced me to turn back and help him pack the body parts into black bags. Each time my hands touched the cold, lifeless flesh, it felt as if thousands of insects were crawling over my skin. After we finished cleaning up, he ordered me to dispose of the black bags. Trembling, I carried them to a deserted riverside, tossing each one into the water before hurrying away. But as soon as I turned around, the man was already behind me, gripping a knife tightly, his cold eyes staring into mine.
You did well, but you still have to die. I did everything you asked. Please let me go. Let you go? You've seen everything. You can't live. I promise I won't tell anyone. Just let me go. The only way to keep a secret is to take it to the grave.
With that, he lunged at me. I dodged just in time, the blade grazing my arm and burning my skin. Enraged, he raised the knife again his grip tightening as he thrust forward. On reflex, I grabbed his wrist, stopping the blade just inches from my face. His strength was terrifying. I used all my force to shove him back, making him stumble. Seizing the moment, I grabbed a rock from the ground and hurled it at his head. He cried out in pain, clutching his head as he staggered. I sprinted to my car, speeding away as I called the police. But by the time they arrived, the man had disappeared without a trace. A few days later, I returned home only to be greeted by a horrifying sight. A bloodied human arm lay in the middle of my floor. On the wall, a message was scrawled in dark red blood. You will have to disappear.
Did you really think you could escape me?
I spun around, locking eyes with the man. He aimed a gun at my head.
Please, I'll give you anything you want. I want your life.
In that instant, I grabbed his wrist, struggling to wrestle the gun upward. A gunshot rang out. The bullet struck the ceiling, sending dust falling around us. I jolted, loosening my grip, and he kicked my stomach hard, sending me crashing to the floor. I tried to push myself up, but before I could, his heavy foot slammed down onto my chest, pinning me against the cold tiles.
Don't waste your strength. You won't escape.
At that moment, my hand brushed against my phone in my pocket. Without hesitation, I yanked it out and hurled it at his face. With every ounce of strength left in me, I scrambled up, shoving him aside as I dashed toward the door. But before I could get far, a gunshot rang out. A searing pain shot through my leg, and I collapsed onto the floor.
You little rat. Let's see where you'll run now.
I refused to give up. Gritting my teeth, I crawled forward. Another shot rang out, piercing my other leg. I screamed in agony as my body convulsed and the world blurred.
Say goodbye to the world.
Suddenly, the door burst open with a loud bang. The man froze, eyes widening in shock. Before he could react, a bullet shot straight into his chest. Dark red blood slowly spread across his shirt. Police officers swarmed in, surrounding the house. I exhaled shakily, my body going limp as I shut my eyes in relief. It was finally over. I was rushed to the hospital, my legs soaked in blood. Though the killer was dead, the memory of that night haunted me every second of my life. The images replayed in my mind like a never-ending horror film with no escape.